Ladies and gentlemen, this is Super ACH, and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
When they're not covering the sports world, they're talking about the world of professional wrestling.
It's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Now, with Justin Simmons, here's Stu Myrick.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the horn. Stu Myrick. Justin Smash Simmons will join me later to do a preview of this weekend's Survivor Series, the battle for brand supremacy that we've heard so much over the last few weeks. But before we do that, Impact Wrestling has celebrated a month on Access TV. They've done a bang-up job, and it's so good to watch it on there. By the way, Impact Wrestling, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on Access TV. Well, next Tuesday night, Tuesday before Thanksgiving, they're going to bring you an homage to early 80s wrestling when they bring to life the Impact Provincial Wrestling Federation, where the stars of Impact Wrestling will assume wrestling characters that you might see back in the 80s, and some great names. And one of the stars joins us now on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. He's going to assume a moniker that is well revered in Austin, in the ATX, especially those of the Burnt Orange Persuasion. He is a Triple Crown champion for Impact Wrestling, having been their world champion, their X Division champion, and 5-time tag team champion with his former partner, Davey Richards from the American Wolves. It is Eddie Edwards. You can follow him on Twitter at the Eddie Edwards. Eddie, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you? Thank you for that great intro, by the way.
Well, we try to pump you guys up. You know, you guys are you're the stars.
Well done so far. Well done. Let's see how the rest of this goes.
Okay. Well, I'll do my best. Let me ask you this, because I knew you back in the day. Your tail end with Ring of Honor, and then debuting with Impact. And you were one half of the American Wolves with Davey Richards. You know, you of course since transitioned to singles wrestling. Do you have a preference, one or the other, singles versus tag team?
No, I don't necessarily have a preference. I appreciate both of them for what they are. Tag team wrestling is what I kind of made my name in, obviously, like you said, in Ring of Honor, and, getting the chance to tag with Davey was a great opportunity, and, I still love to do it anytime I get to do it. But I like the beauty of it both. Tag team wrestling is very special because it's something you don't see every day. You don't see great tag teams, kind of like you used to, or you just don't see them these days anymore. So I appreciate the art that is tag team wrestling. And then you go to the singles. The singles is when, all the pressure's on me. That's up to me. And I like that pressure. I like putting that pressure on myself and going out there and I don't have anybody to lean on. It's all up to me to go out there and do that. And in the end, I think, we all get into wrestling and professional wrestling because we want to be champions. We want to be the best. I wanted to be a tag team champion, and I currently and always want to be, the world heavyweight champion. That's just the meaning of the business.
Yeah, and you've found that. I mean, you're a Triple Crown champion in Impact, also a Triple Crown champion in Ring of Honor, being world TV and tag champion there. Let me ask you this: when you were a tag team, was there a legendary tag team that influenced you and Davey as a tag team?
I think if you just look at us, you could probably assume that would be the British Bulldogs, and that would be the answer that, we both loved. I mean, Davey's basically, he's the reincarnation of Dynamite Kid almost, you know what I mean? He always got compared to that, and I've always been a big fan of Dynamite Kid and the British Bulldogs, so them together was basically our dream team, and it was a team that we did like to model ourselves up to. But it wasn't just them. It was, we like to kind of pick and choose, and of course we would watch and study, everybody who could, the Brainbusters, Tully and Arn, and the Heart Foundation, and the Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express. There's so many legendary tag teams. We would always try to study and try to take bits and pieces from each team that we could.
Talking with Eddie Edwards. Again, follow him on Twitter at the Eddie Edwards. So let's talk about this kind of current run as singles competitor, especially since I think it was early 2018. There was the whole thing with you and Sami Callihan in the bat. But since then, you've kind of adopted a more I guess best way to put it, a hardcore edge to your style. And your style, you've always been a great technical wrestler. You weren't afraid to take the risk off the top rope. But now there's a little bit of a hardcore style. You know, you've been, you know, coming to the ring with Kenny, the kendo stick. Was there something that you decided, hey, I want to try this? What prompted that transition?
I mean, honestly, it was the fact that, you know, that getting hit in the face with a baseball bat tends to do that to a man. No, but, like, you know, honestly, with that whole situation with the baseball bat, it was kind of something that just fell into my lap and impact our lap, you know, altogether. It was like, well, here's the situation. Here's something that, you know, the whole story I thought people could relate to. You know, Sammy, first, you know, hits me in the face with a baseball bat, breaks my face, and then, you know, terrorizes my wife and my friends and stuff like that. And I think it was something where the people can relate to. Everybody's been pushed to that brink. And it was just a matter of, okay, well, this is a chance that we have for myself to evolve. And like you say, you know, I've always been a technical wrestler, and I like to say that I still am. I can go out there, but I like to mix it up with all these different styles. So when this chance came to me, where it's like, well, it's either evolve and try to do something different and get creative and see what we can do with it, or it's, you know, get hit in the face with a baseball bat, and then, you know, a couple of months later, I'm back, you know, to the regular Eddie Edwards, which would be fine with me. But we saw this golden opportunity. Like, all right, let's see what can happen. Worst case scenario, you know, maybe I don't fit the role, maybe I can't do what I want to do, and I go back to what I was doing. But it was a chance to be creative and a chance to step outside my comfort zone, which is something that, you know, I've always enjoyed doing in my career. You know, if it doesn't scare you, what's the point of doing it? So that's kind of the way we looked at it, and the way I looked at it going into it.
You know, and it's been fun to watch this transition. I remember, of course, you've had some rivalry since then with Moose, with of course Sammy Callahan, and you had kind of the alliance and then rivalry with Tommy Dreamer. And I know Tommy Dreamer has been somewhat of an influence on this. How much have you learned from Tommy Dreamer in incorporating this into your character?
You know, honestly, it's hard to even, you know, to try to explain how much he's done for myself and for Impact Wrestling and for wrestling in general. Like, even before, you know, we did this stuff together in Impact, he was always somebody that I would go to and I would ask his advice, because Tommy won't pull punches. If something's good, he'll tell you it's good. If something sucks, he'll tell you it sucks. And that's what so many of us need. I think that's what everybody needs in life. But he's kind of been my Yoda, if you will. You know, I go to him and I ask his opinion and stuff like that, and he'll give me the brutal honesty. And sometimes it's something I don't want to hear, but something I need to hear. And then obviously the chance to be able to do stuff with him as far as tagging and then wrestling against him and him gifting me a kendo stick. These are all moments that if you went back in time and told my 15-year-old self that, you know, Tommy Dreamer would be gifting me a kendo stick in the middle of a ring after I defeated him in a hardcore match, you know, that's something that would blow my mind. And that's not lost on me today, that every time I get to go in the ring and do something with these guys that, you know, I've admired and I still do admire, it's honestly, it's an honor to be able to do it.
I can imagine so. And Tommy Dreamer has such a great reputation, you know, throughout the wrestling business with what he does, not only in the ring but outside the ring with all the coaching. Let me ask you this: is there one or two things in your career that you are most proud of? Whether it's the world titles, you know, winning the GHC world title in Noah. Give us a couple moments that you look back with a lot of pride and saying, yeah, I did that.
You know, I've been lucky. There have been a lot of good moments. You know, and you just mentioned the GHC championship. Winning the heavyweight championship of Pro Wrestling Noah was something that honestly, I never thought that I would even get a chance to do. I went over to Noah in 2005 was the first time I went over, and I was living over there in the dojo and training and all that, and there were some rough times and then some real tough times for myself over there. And it was just, a whole change of scenery and all this. And then, I've always been a fan of Japanese pro wrestling. And so to be able to go over there and have a chance to face Nakajima for the GMC Heavyweight Championship and then come out winning that. I've seen my idols have held on to that belt. That exact belt that I was holding on that green mat, the belt that I was holding above my head was held by, Kobashi and Misawa and Kenta and Takayama and Sugiura and Akiyama and Taue, all these guys that are instilled in the Japanese pro wrestling, in pro wrestling in Japan, but also, in the States, in the world of pro wrestling. These guys are the tops, and I am able to put myself, I'm in those history books, which to me, it still blows my mind even talking about it now, and it still gives me chills at this time, just to even go back and think about. That's definitely one of the biggest ones. And then to go back, winning the heavyweight title in ROH from a man who is my good friend and still is, Roderick Strong, to be able to go to the Manhattan Center and defeat him for that title. It's always better when you beat your friends. To go out there and beat him. And then, of course, Impact Wrestling, beating Bobby Lashley for the heavyweight championship as well. These things, these are all singles accomplishments that I'm talking about right now because that may be fresh on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to do that, those are things that I'm very grateful to be able to get that opportunity. I'm grateful to be able to go out there and face these guys that I admire and go out and go in there and go head to head with them. And then, one more. As far as tag-wise, when we came to Impact Wrestling, we got to do a series of matches, myself and Davey against Team 3D and the Hardys. If that doesn't blow your mind as a fan of wrestling and as a fan of tag team wrestling, I don't know what will. And we got to do that again, as well as the Manhattan Center, table matches and stuff like that. These are moments that, I'm going to think about when I'm hopefully rocking away on my porch in my rocking chair. These are moments that I'm going to be telling people about. I'll never forget, till the day I die.
Some great moments, absolutely. And you mentioned winning the GHC Heavyweight Championship. You were the first Gaijin to win that title in Pro Wrestling Noah, right?
Yeah, I'm still the only foreigner to hold that heavyweight championship.
I mean, that's huge. That's a big accomplishment. That shows how much faith Pro Wrestling Noah had in you to carry their top championship. So hats off to you. What an amazing career, and it's going to continue. I have no doubt it's going to continue on. Let's talk about Impact on Access. Of course, yeah. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, Access TV. The move to Access has been a huge boost. I would assume for Impact Wrestling, for the locker room. You've got this great platform. Access TV has done pro wrestling really well. Just talk about the energy that's on with the roster now that they are being seen every week on Access TV.
Oh, I mean, it's like you said, Access is giving us this brand new platform. It's an exciting time, and it's an exciting time in pro wrestling overall. For Impact Wrestling, getting onto Access, you can feel it in the locker room. The great thing about being a wrestler is, I have to go out there and wrestle, and I have to go out there and perform. But there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes. There has been for so long, and it's been going in the right direction. It's been going in the right direction, continuously doing the right thing. But we were just waiting for that moment, waiting for that something to happen that can help elevate us to the next level. And this jump to Access, I mean, this is it. You can feel the energy in the crowd. You can feel it in the locker room. You can feel it in the back. You can feel it walking into the building that this is a special time. And this is a time that for us as Impact Wrestling, it's on a bigger scale. We get to say, all right, we wanted this chance. This is our chance. Let's show the world what Impact Wrestling is about. And let's give them no excuses. There's no reason to not tune into Impact Wrestling. At this point, we have something for everybody. We have the knockouts. We have the hardcore stuff. We have some of the best high flyers in the world. We have the heavy. We get a little bit of everything right now, and it's like, here, world, this is what we got. Tune in and check us out. And if you're not happy with it, I don't know what will make you happy as a pro wrestling fan.
As a pro wrestling fan nowadays, especially in the United States, there's such a great assortment that is available to you, and Impact Wrestling definitely has encapsulated it all. So let's talk about this special episode of Impact Wrestling. It's going to happen next Tuesday night, where Impact does a Throwback Throwdown, kind of an homage to 80s wrestling. So Impact Wrestling becomes the Impact Provincial Wrestling Federation. So tell folks about what we're going to see next Tuesday night on Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, it's a throwback episode. It's really like you're going to travel. You're going to turn on your Honda Access TV, and it's going to be like you're traveling back to the 80s. It's a studio setup type thing where there's interviews going on. It's like just a callback to the old days where there's some fun, interesting gimmicks. It's a fun episode. Like I had a blast doing it. Everybody I spoke to and talked to in the back had just a great time, doing the stuff that we're doing and filming what we're doing. The wrestling is going to be great. You're going to see some new and different characters. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be somebody different. It's just, you're not going to know what to expect, but just expect, fun and expect a good time. That's all I can say. Expect a good time. And it's something that people are going to be talking about.
Well, as a child of the 80s, I grew, I'm 51 years old, so I grew up on 80s wrestling. So I know I'm going to have an absolute blast. And speaking of your character, so when I got the press release, I'm flipping through it and I see your name. And the name holds a lot of admiration, especially here in Austin, Texas, because you're going to portray Cowboy Colt McCoy. Now,
that's right.
I mean, when we hear Colt McCoy in these parts, we're thinking one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever grace the Burnt Orange. 46 victories, held the record for most victories, should have won the Heisman a couple times. Did that play anything into how you portrayed this character for this special episode?
I mean, obviously the name Colt McCoy, as soon as you said it, all the football fans, everybody perked up and, everybody kind of like, huh? Turn their head. And, that's a lot of pressure to put on myself. But I was prepared to try to represent Colt McCoy and the Cowboys the best that I could. And, honestly, Texas, has a special place in my heart. Myself and my wife, we got married in Austin. We have family friends down there. We've been back and forth there many times. So I feel like I've been I've been an understudy for this role for quite some time now. So I went out there and I tried to perform the best that I could to my ability. And, hopefully I don't let you guys down. That's all I can say. You guys, you take the notes. You take the notes. You let me know how I did. And I just hope I don't let you down. That's all I can say.
Well, look, the promo picture I saw, you flashed the hook 'em. That right there will win you, the rest of the wrestling fans, at least in Austin, or anybody else that loves the Texas Longhorn. So you got that going for you, which is nice.
That was
so
good.
That was awesome.
Mission accomplished.
Absolutely. Eddie Edwards. You can follow him on Twitter at the Eddie Edwards. Catch him on Impact Wrestling every Tuesday night. 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on Access TV. And don't miss the special IPWF Throwback Throwdown edition next Tuesday night, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving on Access TV. Eddie, all the best to you. So glad I got to talk to you. When you get back down to Austin, please let me know. I'd love to get together with you. If for no other reason, just, share a meal and hear some stories. But all the best to you, man, and all the best to everybody in Impact Wrestling.
Man, I greatly appreciate that, and thank you for taking your time out and spreading the word of Impact Wrestling. These fans just tune in and check us out, and hopefully I see you soon. If I'm back down that way, I will let you know, my friend.
Many of you may recall when WWE did this YouTube series on Southpaw Regional Wrestling, where they showed different clips. It was the different WWE stars, assuming characters, but the thing was there weren't any matches. Well, this is going to have matches. In fact, we talked to Eddie Edwards about being Cowboy Colt McCoy. He's going to be in a blindfold match against Gama Singh. Looks like the main event is going to be Julian Cummerbund, a.k.a. one half of the North and the Impact Tag Team Champions, Ethan Page, taking on Downtown Daddy Brown, a.k.a. Willie Mack, for the International Commonwealth Television title and a loser leaves town match. So that'll give you a little bit of taste of what we expect to see next Tuesday night when Impact Wrestling becomes the IPWF on Access TV. Make sure you catch it next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on Access TV. Great to talk to Eddie Edwards. And as we said, follow him on Twitter at the Eddie Edwards. When we come back from this timeout, Justin Simmons will join me. We will preview Sunday's Battle for Brand Supremacy. It's really just rooting for laundry, isn't it? We'll talk about that coming up next on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn.
Hey everybody, this is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. And remember, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
Because the $1 Million Man.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons. You know, and I played Ted DiBiase there because Survivor Series 29 years ago, he debuted The Undertaker.
We just had this conversation. Last
you
week.
got you got really animated about it, but yes, 29 years ago.
Because like how he's
and I
supposed to book
think,
that thing?
if I'm not mistaken, as we record this on a Tuesday night, November 19th, I believe it was 29 years ago today. At Survivor Series.
It could have been.
And who was Undertaker's original manager?
Oh, Brother Love.
That's right. Brother Love.
What did I win?
A.K.A. Bruce Pritchard.
What do I win?
My adoration. So, anyway.
There's been a lot of countless hours going into watching that stuff on YouTube just to know that historical piece that only matters to about a quarter of the segment of the United States.
What's that? The
pro wrestling knowledge like that randomly.
Yeah. Well, of course.
A quarter could be being
but
gracious.
Hey,
who knows?
That's why we're here, you know. And so now, of course, you know, Brother Love, portrayed by Bruce Pritchard, who's now part of WWE. Undertaker is going to be the subject of the first, I think they're calling it Broken Skull Sessions. That's going to debut on the network.
Let me ask you this:
after Survivor Series on Sunday.
How upset were you that we put this thing in the can and then CM Punk just shows up on television later that night?
Yeah, I meant to ask you that. Yeah, that was
because I was
crazy.
like, "Are you kidding me? We had nothing to talk about all night. Now CM Punk just decides to show up
just out of the blue." Yes, we are probably the last ones to address it, but yes, I'm WWE backstage on Tuesday night, you know, because we do record these on Tuesday night. So WWE backstage on FS1, they go through the whole show, and they had the debate about the Rusev, Lana, and Bobby Lashley.
The greatest storyline going, by the way.
Actually, most of them agree with me. It needs to die. But it had Adam Cole on there talking about the invasion and how that worked, especially, you know, the Friday that the WWE stars were stuck in Saudi Arabia for whatever reason that we still don't know. So they get to the end of the show, and you know, Renee Young talks about how, you know, every WWE show has that iconic historic moment. How would you like to have one here? So she counts down 3, 2, 1, boom, Cult of Personality hits, and in walks Phil Brooks himself, CM Punk. That was something else.
This is why you can never say never in pro wrestling.
No, we've learned that long ago.
I know, but even the ones that you really never think will happen could possibly happen.
Look, I watched it live in 2002 when Eric Bischoff walked out on the stage on Monday Night Raw. A year, you know, wasn't even 18 months after he was trashing Monday Night Raw and all of WWE on Nitro.
Are you kidding? Vince McMahon has walked out on Nitro. He's been featured on Nitro. He's been featured on Georgia Championship Wrestling. He's been featured in Memphis. Vince McMahon has showed up in a lot of places where you don't think
that was Vince. That was back in the day when Vince bought time. But this was Eric Bischoff.
No, I mean, he's been
the
on there.
sworn enemy.
No,
and you see him embracing. That was a huge shock in 2002.
I don't know. I think anytime that Vince shows up in a territory that you're not expecting and like crosses over, I think that's like unexpected viewing.
Yeah, but that wasn't nearly as big.
In Georgia, he showed up on their actual television, not like because he paid for it, but he actually showed up on the actual Georgia wrestling show itself.
I promise we will get to Survivor Series, but remember, actually he did. He bought the time.
He bought
because
the
Ole
time
Anderson
slot.
sold it to him, and it became a huge
I know.
Huge, controversy.
But the fact that he still had the Georgia Championship Wrestling banner that appeared while he was on that station.
I remember watching it, and I was going, oh, what is this?
Yes.
I was one of those people that was upset.
And you mean to tell me it wasn't shocking?
It made me mad. It was like,
it's still shocking.
What are you doing here? So, anyway. Survivor Series. The battle for brand supremacy.
Who cares?
It's amazing. So, 25 years ago, actually, it wasn't even that far, but I think it was 25 years ago, Jerry Seinfeld summed it up best.
Laundry. We're rooting for screaming about laundry here. People will, they'll love a guy, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then the guy will get traded. He'll come back on another team. They hate him now.
Yes,
this
that's
is the
right.
same human being in a different shirt. Boo, we hate him now. Different shirt.
Now, wait a minute.
But it's like weird as a WWE fan or as a wrestling fan because you don't necessarily like a team.
Right.
You're supposed to like a wrestler.
Right. By the way, audio clip courtesy of Worldwide Pants. That was Jerry Seinfeld on Late Night with David Letterman way back in the day, back when Letterman was still on NBC. And he was talking about, people rooting for the New York Giants and, players getting traded. But in essence, that's basically what we're rooting for, a color of T-shirt.
But
but
no, you're not. It's like, why do I care?
Yes, let me rephrase that. WWE thinks we should root for a color of T-shirt.
But I guess you do have a segment of the fan base that already, the original, that already roots for NXT and wants it to be superior already.
Well, and that kind of muddies it a little bit more because yes, you've got the NXT fan base that are rooting for them,
very vocal fan base.
But when it comes to Raw and SmackDown, who cares? And oh, by the way, these NXT wrestlers that have been coming on to Raw and SmackDown, they're battling each other on NXT, as well as are going to be battling each other on NXT TakeOver War Games this Saturday.
It's kind of funny. This is the argument that people had with interleague play when it was introduced to Major League Baseball.
You're right.
It was going to take away the importance of the World Series because, now those teams will probably face each other during the regular season, blah, 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 blah.
Thought it would water down the season.
I don't think it really matters for baseball.
No. Having 162 games in a regular season, that's what waters down the season.
I was going to say, I don't really even care for baseball that much, so it really doesn't bother me one way or another, to be honest with you. But when it comes to the wrestling, what was the whole premise behind Survivor Series? Now I'm a little too young to actually understand.
It was a different pay-per-view where you had 5-on-5 teams wrestling elimination.
But how do these teams come together?
Well, back in the day, it was your typical heels versus faces,
right?
And you had one team I remember vividly was Ultimate Warrior, Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors, and Kerry Von Erich, the modern day Warrior. You also had and then you had the stables like the $1 Million Corporation or the Heenan family or
I remember
Mr.
those.
Fuji's guys, but. That's what it was, and I think.
But that's the issue, though, is that the WWE doesn't have stables. They don't have stables. They don't really have managers.
They don't really have. There's not even really a group. You've got tag teams, that you don't care about.
Because I was like, how did all these people come together to organically, I suppose?
It wasn't really organic. It was, they'd work it out through story, but
I know, but the WWE tries to do it now and they don't do it well. I was going to ask, did they do it well then? I mean, I'm assuming that it was very simplistic storytelling where it's like, hey, he beat you up and I saved the day on you, so now we're a team and we're going to go against these guys.
That's basically it. That was basically it. It was good guys and bad guys.
But is that what the modern day fan requires in their Survivor Series? Because where Survivor Series stand? Is it really? Does it even really feel that important? I mean, they try to build it up like it is
because
it has the history.
We've got you got 3 title matches. Other than that, every other match, it's a triple threat, pitting the brands against each other for what? Nothing.
Sounds like Clash of Champions.
No, Clash of Champions was kind of like that. That was the NWA in Jim Crockett Promotions' answer to, WWE starting to do more pay-per-views back in the day. So Jim Crockett decided, we're going to do a pay-per-view like card, but we're going to put it on TBS.
Yes. At the same token, all the championships are on the line.
And
right?
you had championship, right.
All of them. That's why I'm
yeah.
saying, like, Survivor Series, almost every pay-per-view feels, the only championships that aren't on the line are the tag championships? Or are the tag championships being defended?
This Survivor Series, Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, WWE Network. It's going to be in Chicago.
Is that the kickoff show?
Kickoff starts 1 hour earlier, I think.
Are you serious?
Yes, and we don't know what the kickoff match is.
Wow.
We do have 3 championship matches. You've got The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, defending the WWE Universal Championship against Daniel Bryan. You've got Brock Lesnar defending the WWE Championship against Rey Mysterio. We found out on Monday Night Raw that is now a no disqualification match.
Good for Brock.
They said no holds barred, and I saw a tweet from Bully Ray that says, well, in essence, no holds are barred. I guess, unless you count a choke hold, maybe. I don't know, but it seems repetitive to say no holds barred. Since there aren't any holds that would be barred, but that was Bully Ray's.
Somebody
assertion.
else had said something on similar
platform?
similar on Twitter actually.
Yeah,
about the same notion, but doesn't it just sound better? No holds.
It does.
Barred.
It gives it a little more oomph, a little more dramatic. Like you said, oomph. So, and then. Something we just found out. So, and it kind of ties into NXT TakeOver War Games. So, at War Games, they're going to have a match, triple threat match. Pete Dunne, the Bruiserweight, Damian Priest, and Killian Dane. The winner of that match will face Adam Cole for the NXT Championship at Survivor Series.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Or should I say... Sorry, a little late to the trigger there.
I heard about that one too. It's interesting enough, but may I go back to No Holds Barred real quick? It's
yes.
The only reason why it doesn't garner the same effect that it used to is because it's not because the term is watered down and redundant, but because wrestling has kind of made that style of match watered down.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, because you don't. It's not like you're not seeing too much. Like map based, where someone puts somebody in a hold for a long time, and you pray, you're rooting for them to find a way to escape that hold, whether it's the backbreaker or leg lock or whatever, leg scissors. Kevin Von Erich used to use the leg scissors a lot. The rest of the matches are triple threat. Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. You've got the Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch, SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, and NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler in a match. You've got the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura from SmackDown, U.S. Heavyweight Champion AJ Styles from Raw, and North American Champion Roderick Strong from NXT in a match. And then you have the Raw Tag Team Champions Viking Raiders, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions The New Day, and the NXT Tag Team Champions Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly from Undisputed Era.
I'm just waiting for them to take this pay-per-view and just turn it into WWE Triple Threat, where it's like all 3 brands have to go against each other. Because that makes more sense at this point now.
Actually, honestly, I would rather they just make it go back to, I don't know how well, I'm not sure they would book it correctly. I wish they would just go back to putting, again, heels versus faces.
Well, I was going to say,
forget,
this whole episode should have just been about how to fix Survivor Series as opposed to like previewing Survivor Series, honestly.
Actually, that'd be the easiest thing. You get a 5-on-5 Raw match with 5 Raw faces for 5 Raw heels. But 5-on-5, same thing for SmackDown.
But they have to be
you
fighting.
Don't need NXT on there.
But they have to be fighting for something. That's why they're trying to prove the brand supremacy.
But that's the thing.
Survivor Series means something.
Well, but the Survivor Series matches was never for like a.
No, that's untrue, Stu. Because back in my day, you had the Undertaker show up in a flag embroidered inside his Death Valley cape because he was part of the All-Americans with Lex Luger going against those evil foreign heels to protect America's honor.
Right. And
but they had a reason.
They had a reason. You're right. You need the story. I was thinking you were saying they need like a trophy or something.
And to kind of prevail to some of our video game playing fans, like other wrestlers out there, I think they need to have it almost King of Fighters style, where there's a tournament and there has to be a grand prize at the end for this team that wins the tournament.
You know, there was a thing where they would brag, especially if they had a sole survivor, you know, like one person left on the team, but they're the ones that won.
That's how they used to push, you know, like the next guy.
Right.
So they need to go back to something similar, but you need to have a reason to enter a team. And you have to have a reward for that team winning. Like, does everybody on that team get a title shot?
I've heard somehow tie it to Royal Rumble.
Because you know,
like if it's Soul Survivor, they get the number 30 spot. I've heard something like that.
I don't care about that. It has to have more meaning, like because back in the day they would have just used money. They would have said this team that wins it gets $100,000.
Right.
But we all know that's super fake and played out now. So they have to have a the most closest legitimate reason in professional wrestling that one will let to forming a team and to win. And it has to be tournament based. That's the only way I can see it working nowadays.
Yeah, but WWE doesn't do tournaments. They had the King of the Ring.
But that's like this is the best. But we're looking to fix Survivor Series.
Right.
So if they would be open to the idea, if hey, you had a 5-man team, I had a 5-man team, we're all in the same bracket. My 5-man team is going to wrestle your 5-man team. The winner moves on to the next round to face the next round, and then the champions at the very end of the night.
Could be interesting.
Winner takes all.
Yeah.
All winners get a title shot at the end.
It's possible.
That's
possible.
But I think
of course, that means you'd have to have. I think in order to do that, you'd have to designate people for certain divisions.
Does that have to be 5-on-5?
Not necessarily. It's just that's the way it's always been. It's always been 5-on-5.
So okay, because I mean, like 5-on-5 is hard to build. 4-on-4 might be a little bit easier.
It might be. Yeah. So. We'll continue our discussion of Survivor Series and actually try to make some picks. Plus, we got to take a look at what will happen the night before when NXT brings out its version of War Games. ACH reappears on Twitter. We'll talk a little bit about that and some other news and notes from the professional wrestling world coming up on Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Oh, bask in his glory.
For he is limitless.
This is the limitless Keith Lee, and you're now basking in the glory of Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
For he is limitless. Oh, who is he? Who's that champ I see? Rhetorical question, but they
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling, the podcast only segment. Stu Myrick, Justin Smash Simmons. How good has Keith Lee looked on Raw and SmackDown? That does my heart really good.
I was going to say, I'm not really surprised. This is what I'm expecting to see from
actually,
him.
it should happen. It should have happened long ago.
Basically, it's just nice that other people now get to see it that didn't know about him. It's just kind of, I'm used to seeing it so much that I'm like, I've already seen it all, but this is brand new for a whole new audience. It's great that he's doing his thing, though, in front of a national audience and finally getting the recognition.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's kind of like, and you're not a baseball guy, but it's like when the first time I saw Roy Oswalt pitch for the Round Rock Express before he made it to the majors, and he finally got the World Series ring. I was like, yeah, we saw him. We saw him back then.
Yeah, it's like we already knew. Like we already knew he was capable of this. Yeah. Somebody just had to give him the shot.
I mean,
and it's like he finally got the shot. But I'm glad that he's one of those guys that's taking the brass ring and running with it.
Yes, and I had no doubt that he would. So, all right, so let's try to make picks. I mean, it's kind of silly. Remember last year, and I meant to say this on the air, but you remember last year's Survivor Series?
No,
Raw went.
I'm like, not at all.
When you had Raw going 6-0, quote unquote asterisk, because New Day beat. Who was it? Was it the Revival? I think. So SmackDown got the win in the pre-show, but they decided the pre-show doesn't count. And we ran with that forever, saying the pre-show doesn't count, so why do we care? But in Raw would win every match on the card, every Raw versus SmackDown match, and I think that was kind of like that was the tipping point of why should we care about Survivor Series? So, but for the sake of entertainment. So let's go through it real quick.
I guess it's just like, why are they teams if they're all still WWE wrestlers?
That's the thing, and not to mention you've got
and
people
you don't really appear on the show.
Like SmackDown. The SmackDown Survivor Series team is going to have Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin. Well, last I checked, they're butting heads against each other. So how does this make sense?
Well, I thought I thought Corbin was on SmackDown.
And Roman Reigns is on SmackDown.
Or no, I thought he was on Raw.
No, he's on SmackDown.
No,
yeah. See, there you go. See, and that's the other thing. This comes right after the WWE draft, which
yeah, that's where I'm getting at. It's like
and
I
so,
don't know who's where, and I really don't care.
They still haven't established the rosters for these brands, and now you've had the Saudi Arabia thing. Now you got Survivor Series getting in the way of everything. It's been nuts. So, all right, so triple threat with all three women's champions: Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch, SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler. Something screams Shayna Baszler to me, and I don't know why, but for some reason, I can't pick against the Queen of Spades.
No, Becky Lynch.
You think Becky?
Yeah, easily.
And that makes sense.
She's still the hottest wrestler going. Like, you can't mess with her right now. Her momentum is still, she still gets like the loudest pop on the night. There's no way.
And that's been the story too. That's been kind of the funny thing. The story has been Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler. Bayley's been kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah, I don't
especially with this new, attitude that Bayley has of,
the money match, if you have
golf,
to have,
we don't care teen, with angst.
The sad part is the money match remains with Flair and Lynch. As right now, that would be the match I would want to see for WrestleMania, is those two go at it.
I don't know if they pulled the trigger on that because it's been seen.
But they would tear the house down.
Right now they're tagging, so it's like
it's perfect timing. You get the quick turn right at the beginning of the year.
It wouldn't be horrible, but
in this day and age, you don't get a chance to build up a feud for 6 months.
True.
So you gotta take it when you get it, and it'll be perfect, fresh in people's minds.
So triple threat for the mid card with the mid card champions. You've got Shinsuke Nakamura, the Intercontinental Champion from SmackDown, AJ Styles, the U.S. Champion from Raw, and Roderick Strong, the North American Champion from NXT.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think AJ only because he gets his win back from Shinsuke.
Are these like all non-title matches?
Yes, these are all non-title. The triple threats, there no titles are up for grabs.
This is pointless.
I know.
This is completely pointless. It's like, just put them on a team.
It's the battle for brand supremacy.
So is there only, how many, there's 2 traditional Survivor Series matches?
Yes. Yes, 2, because you got a men's and a women's. And we'll get to that here in just a second.
I'm really surprised they haven't gone the route where it's just, they really just go back and give everybody team matches again.
That was the format. Way back in the day, it was nothing but 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches.
Yeah, but I would assume that must have been boring at some point.
I think that's why they started changing it up, and now you just get a men's match and a women's match. So
this is all like,
yeah,
that's the whole point.
Like I said, I'm picking AJ for no other reason to get the win from Shinsuke, from WrestleMania.
I guess
It'd be WrestleMania 35 actually.
Fine, let's just go with
or
Styles.
34. Excuse me.
I want to say Nakamura, but we all know it won't be him. So Styles is the only one that makes sense.
Yeah. Tag champions: Viking Raiders from Raw, New Day from SmackDown, Red Dragon, Fish and O'Reilly, Undisputed Era from NXT.
Red Dragon should win though.
I would think that. I don't think they're going to do that because I think if they're going to give NXT one win, I think it'll be Baszler. So I'm guessing it will either be the Viking Raiders or New Day. And
I think they get it here.
You think so?
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool. I that would be really cool.
Just because the Viking Raiders, unfortunately, they never really beat anybody on TV, even after winning the belts. They always just go against.
They still go. Yeah, they still do squash.
Yeah, they still do squash.
They didn't even
matches.
do a match on Raw because it was supposed to be Hawkins and Ryder. AOP decides to come out, attack Hawkins and Ryder. So you're thinking, okay, well, it'll be Viking Raiders AOP. No, it's not. It's going to be Randy Orton and Ricochet in some random match, which of course had a no finish because you had the show-ending brawl with everybody and
exactly
Triple H saying doors open for at NXT, whatever. So
exactly. So I'm just kind of like, who have they really beat besides the Revival?
I want to lean Viking Raiders here, but I don't know. Something tells me New Day. I'm gonna go New Day on here.
And then New Day doesn't even.
Ray,
have...
don't hate me.
Nah, it's gotta be Red Dragon here.
That would be cool. I would love to see that. The Women's Survivor Series match. Now, understand we have, as of right now, Tuesday night at just before 9 p.m. Central, we do not know who is going to be on Team NXT for either the women's or the men's matches. We suspect it will be some conglomeration of the what's left from the War Games matches. Those that aren't, otherwise occupied.
I thought you were going to tell me it was going to be the people from Hot Stuff Incorporated.
That would be real cool. Who? Let's see. So that would have been Sting. That would have been Rick Steiner. Who else? Well, of course, Eddie Gilbert's no longer with us. Sting, Rick Steiner, Missy Hyatt was there at one time. That would be really cool, but Sting's not taking a bump.
But see,
and Rick Steiner, I think, is on a school board somewhere.
No, but I'm just saying. See, that's just like some random stable.
Yeah,
that I can just pull.
That would have worked. That would have worked,
and that would have been perfect
yes.
at a time like this. It's just like, okay, who remembers?
Yeah.
Hot Stuff Incorporated. Who remembers? What was that other one that was led by a woman in? What was it? Was it WCCW World Championship?
World Class?
Was it World Class? That wasn't there was like something.
Well, Missy Hyatt managed
but then
Hollywood John Tatum, and Jack Victory.
No, I remember
Jack Victory found a career renaissance in ECW.
I thought there was another corporation, another stable.
Oh, you're thinking of that was it was early WCW. It was what's her name? Terry Runnels.
Is it?
It was Terry Runnels, and what was the name of that? It had Steve Austin. Who am I thinking? Steve Austin. That may have been like an offshoot of the Dangerous Alliance. I remember that though. Yes, I'll have to look that up. But I remember that's the one I'm thinking of. As far as World Class goes, they didn't have a female-led stable. I mean, you had, I
know you had ladies there, but
you had ladies there, but even then, it was like, what was her name? Chris Adams was married to her. She left him to marry Stone Cold Steve Austin. Clark. I can't think of it. And then, of course, you had, Precious and Sunshine attached to gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. But anyway, we digress. So the Women's Survivor Series match right now, Team NXT, which my guess will be some sort of mixture of possibly Rhea Ripley, Tegan Knox.
And see, I was wrong. It was Hot Stuff International.
Hot Stuff International. Yes, you're right. Rhea Ripley, Tegan Knox, Mia Yim. Might have Kaylee Ray, the NXT UK Women's Champion. Who else? Bianca Belair. Anyway, some mixture of that. Taking on Team Raw, which has been announced. Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka and Kairi Sane, the Kabuki Warriors, and Sarah Logan. Sarah Logan we haven't seen on TV in months.
Hey, but she's getting a pay-per-view spot.
And she's getting a pay-per-view spot. So, hey. And then Team SmackDown, Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, Carmella, Dana Brooke, and Nikki Cross.
They have Charlotte, so Team Raw should win each
and
and every time.
That's my guess.
Doesn't matter who's on the NXT roster.
Yeah.
Unless Ember Moon is going to show up and help out, but
I haven't seen her on. Well, I know she'd been injured for a while, but I don't know.
She's supposed to make an appearance here.
She's supposed to be on backstage.
Yeah.
Later tonight.
So you never know. Maybe they'll use backstage to push her into a match.
Wouldn't surprise me. The men's Survivor Series match. Again, we do not know who is going to be on Team NXT. We suspect it could be Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, Dominic Dijakovic, Tommaso Ciampa, and a fifth person. We don't know who that is. Taking on Team Raw, Seth Rollins, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton.
He's not anywhere else.
No,
Survivor Series.
I don't think he's going to be on that one. It'll be, and we'll get to NXT TakeOver, but it'll be whoever the fourth member of War Games for Team Ciampa, because they haven't revealed that yet either. Anyway, Team Raw, Seth Rollins, Ricochet, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. Team SmackDown, Roman Reigns, King Corbin, Braun Strowman, Shorty G, Chad Gable, and Mustafa Ali. They gave Ali back his first name.
I know, which is great.
Good to know. I would say just because WWE loves 50-50 booking, since they're going to give Raw the women's, the women's match, give SmackDown the men's match. So I'm going to go with Team SmackDown.
I kind of feel like they might just go double Raw anyways. Just to prove a point.
It wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility.
But I'll go SmackDown just because I think Fox would request that they have at least one win here.
Yeah. All right, then we have, as I said, 3 title matches. Adam Cole facing either Pete Dunne, Killian Dane, or Damian Priest. I don't think it'll matter. I think Adam Cole will come out as your NXT champion.
Yeah, it's a safe assessment.
Oops. Wrong blank.
I think that's a very fair assessment to make.
The Fiend and Daniel Bryan for the Universal Championship.
Well, the Fiend.
It's. And
am I supposed to call him the Fiend every time I say Bray Wyatt, or is it just Bray Wyatt, or is he just the Fiend?
I think it's the Fiend. I think when they bring him out to the ring, the caption says the Fiend Bray Wyatt.
Okay.
Call him. It's Bray Wyatt in mask, like you've so eloquently said. And then Brock.
This is why people shouldn't have bought into the hype. By the way, is he going to be wrestling under a blue light this time?
That should actually, that should be it, since he changed the belt blue.
I mean, the belt looks good though. I like
the belt's nice. I mean, blue's nice. Blue's a nice color.
I mean, I liked it in red also. I didn't have a problem with it.
I didn't have a problem with red. I just wish they wouldn't do the color light. And then Brock Lesnar, Ray. I love Rey Mysterio. We got to meet him. Brock's not dropping the title.
No. I mean, he might take some more damage, but there's no way that Mysterio gets like a title run against Brock.
No.
Although Mysterio's look great.
Mysterio has looked great. I mean, and ageless wonder.
My question has been, I guess this is a good time to ask it, if Dominic becomes the next heir to the Mysterio mask, and technically Rey Mysterio is actually Rey Mysterio Jr., because he got it from his uncle.
So it would be Rey Mysterio the Third.
Yeah, with that how you build him is Rey Mysterio the Third?
I don't think so, because you've already seen him without the mask. So I don't know if he would wrestle under a mask.
It's all about being handed down to you. I mean, there would be no greater honor.
You would think.
Than to be El Hijo de Rey Mysterio.
El Hijo de Mysterio. I don't know. I don't know. That'd be interesting. All right, NXT War Games. is Saturday night, 7 p.m., 6 p.m. Central on the WWE Network, again from the Allstate Arena in Chicago.
Yeah, but do we know who's wrestling on this one?
As of right now, we now have 4 matches. So Matt Riddle and Finn Balor. Matt Riddle was going to be on the War Games team, but he decided to have a rivalry with Finn Balor. My sense is because we're going to build Finn Balor up, we're going to put Finn Balor over.
Wow.
I hate to do that against Matt Riddle, but
I know exactly, because he seems like he's going to be the next.
You would think
he's perfect for the type of audience.
Now it could be Matt Riddle and Finn, does like a post-match tag or something.
I don't know, man. I mean, I don't see Finn Balor losing either. It's just, man, to Riddle.
I know.
I mean, it's just going to be like a no DQ, or I mean, there's going to be like a run-in. I mean,
could be a schmoz ending, could be a DQ, could be something. I don't know. We mentioned it that Adam Cole will have an opponent at Survivor Series. That opponent will be determined in a triple threat match. The Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, Killian Dane, and Damian Priest.
Well, if they're going to really build up Damian Priest, this would be the time to do it. But Pete Dunne, like, is he ever going to come over to the United States? Because champion versus champion would be fun to watch. That would be a great match to see, because it has a little bit more on the line.
Champion versus champion.
Isn't he like the
UK? No, Walter is.
Oh, well then shows you how much I watch NXT UK, right?
I know. Yeah, Walter is the current WWE United Kingdom champion. They need to change that to NXT. They changed the Cruiserweight to make it an NXT title. No, Pete Dunne is not a champion right now.
Oh, well, geez. I don't know who they want to go. It's just like, what? I don't know how to look at NXT now. I have no clue. Like, I mean, I'm assuming whoever wins needs to get a big push here, right?
I kind of want to see Damian Priest here, but I'm leaning Pete Dunne.
He's just done more.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Bruiserweight. I'm going to go with Pete Dunne on this one. Do you have a pick, or?
No, I go Priest.
You're going to go Priest? All right.
He seems like the next big thing for them.
And that wouldn't surprise me. The former Punishment Martinez. All right, so women's War Game match. You got on one side Shayna Baszler, the NXT Women's Champion, NXT UK Women's Champion Kaylee Ray, Bianca Belair, and Io Shirai. On the other side, Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox, and Mia Yim.
I'll go with the second team.
All right, so Team Ripley. I'm going to go part of me says Team Ripley. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's go Ripley.
I'm surprised. I figured that with 2 champions on the other side, that would be an easy pick.
Yeah. And then the men's War Game match, you've got Undisputed Era, all 4 members taking on Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominic Dijakovic, and somebody. We have not learned who the 4th person is.
Who's your guess?
I'm trying to think if he's healed up enough yet. I would say Velveteen Dream.
I forgot about that guy.
He's been out with injury.
Yeah.
I don't know what his timetable for return is.
What's Gargano? Where's he at?
Gargano's out. He is ruled out of Survivor Series with the neck injury.
That legit, or is that just storyline?
He
John Cena?
I think he might be a little bit. That would be funny.
If Cena showed up, that place would go nuts.
Oh my God, that would be nuts. I don't know who's going to be the 4th person. I'm still going to go with Team Ciampa.
Wow, there's no way the Undisputed Era loses. They're the main.
I think they won last year, if I'm not mistaken.
And they're going to win again. They're the main stable.
Yeah.
You can't.
That's your pick.
You
then.
You can't have them lose if they're the main guys. There's
you're probably right.
There's no way that Triple H would let them lose. That's like the Horsemen. This is not
Maybe
the time
Triple
for them.
H is the fourth person. I don't know.
Ooh, and he turns against the Undisputed Era. That would be interesting.
Please don't. No.
Yeah,
please,
just give Triple H
God,
a reason to show up in another pay-per-view in the main event. Yeah, you said it.
Anyway, that's NXT TakeOver War Games Saturday night. I'll be keeping an eye on that and an eye on Wilder and Ortiz. Let's talk. Let's see. NWA has announced they're going to do something called the Circle Squared. Apparently, what this is going to be is kind of like a talent search, where they're going to have wrestlers submit materials to the NWA, and there's a promo and something. There's a video on it that Billy Corgan released this Tuesday morning. So, interesting concept. They'll pick. I think they'll make their picks, bring them out to Atlanta during the December tapings, and have them compete for a NWA contract. Interesting. ACH did a Twitter Q&A. So if you have not heard, ACH posted. He's back on Twitter. I think the account is. I think it's ACH is super.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me make sure that's correct because I don't want to get it wrong. Don't want to do that to our buddy. Let's see. Yes, at ACH is super on Twitter. In fact, his banner is him with the besties, David Vega and Matt Fitchett. Excuse me. So he has pretty much wiped everything from anything WWE related from his Twitter, but he did do a quick he did a Q&A on Twitter a few days ago, and I'm gonna try to find it. So anyway, he held this Q&A session on Twitter a few days ago. While he says he has quit WWE legally, he is still under contract as of right now.
No doubt.
So, don't expect to see him on any independent cards as of yet. He has made a list. He did put out a list of guys he wants to face. He's talked. He also stated he's in a much better mental state since leaving. He addressed the mental health rumors since he started speaking out and said he does suffer with anxiety and depression, and quote, I can have bad mood swings sometimes, but that doesn't mean when I speak out it doesn't have any meaning behind it. This is a transcription that WrestleZone, our friends at WrestleZone did. So if you go to WrestleZone.com, you'll see it. Went ahead, he still addressed the T-shirt, which is what started a lot of this. He addressed calling out Jay Lethal. He won't disclose the story that led to the insult. Says that there is history between them.
Oh, I'm
but
sure
he won't,
there's beef.
You
wouldn't have said it if there wasn't.
Right, but he won't go into detail over it. So all that to say, it sounds like he's at least in a better place mentally. We'll see how WWE responds. Will they release him? Will they?
I don't know.
Do whatever. I
Probably
doubt
not.
it, because look what they did with Pac. When he left the company, he was upset because he didn't want to do the job to Enzo Amore, and he was upset about how he was booked. So he's just sat at home. And sat at home for what, a year and a half, I think.
Well, I mean, they'll still pay
you.
It's
to
a certain extent. So
right. So
I guess you just take it. But the one issue he's going to have is, where is he going to go? Besides the independent scene, I mean, the independent scene,
to wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, right now
it sounds like he's content with wrestling on the independent scene. I think he wants to go back to Japan for a little bit.
That makes sense. I think New Japan would probably be happy to have him, especially with like their American branch.
He had runs both in New Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah, so was in tournaments for both.
I'm just saying, like, obviously, he probably is not going to get a run with ROH, even though ROH needs star power, just because of how they're.
No, I don't think that's going to happen.
And like AEW doesn't seem like a place.
No, I
he would land right now.
I don't see it. I never say never, but I don't see that either.
That's why a lot of people are thinking, oh well, if he's going to end up anywhere, Impact might be the one place, just because they've kind of taken everybody else that's had, that has had some issues with people inside the industry. Right. I mean, they took another chance, or MLW.
That's a possibility as well. Court Bauer, I bet, would at least listen to a.
I mean, he didn't. And that's the other thing too, man. It's just all like he's in this situation when he really didn't do anything wrong, besides call the company out and call the company out that does have a past of. And all you have to do is go look through the archive that has a terrible run with race relations to a certain extent.
Right, and I think we discussed this. What he said, there's nothing wrong with what he said. I was questioning whether he should have done it on that platform, but
I understand what you're saying.
It's up to him.
But to me, it's just like the same issue with the Kaepernick situation. Depending on what side you're already on, you're probably going to just find a way to kind of find the information and kind of lean it towards that route for like the average viewer.
Yeah.
And I really feel it's deeper than that, and you can't tell somebody how they feel.
Right. And I wouldn't even begin to do that.
It's
begin to tell him how to do it.
Yeah.
He does it how he does it. Like I said, we've gotten to know him. He lives here in Austin. We've called matches with him. We've had him on the show. We've done all sorts of fun stuff with him. He's a friend. He's a friend of the show. And all I ever want to do is support him, because he is a good friend. He's a great guy, and so I want to see him happy. So, however that happens, that's what I want.
No, but I mean, it really sucks though, because this has been his dream. I remember just getting those chances to practice with him. I mean, this is his dream, and now sometimes your dreams aren't always made up to what they seem.
That
part sucks.
The last match he had in Inspire before he left for Florida, it was him and Ricky Starks, and there was so much emotion in the building that night. And this was, I think we were still at AFS Cinema at that time, and that was one of those things where he had done, he had come back to Texas. He wanted to put Texas wrestling on the map and called himself the King of Texas. He had Team Super Academia, had taken those young guys and mentored them. And that was he was so proud. And that was one of the things you could tell. That was, one of the things, as much as excited as he was for the next step, going to NXT, there was a lot of emotion. So, yeah, I mean, you hope for the best. I want the best for him, whatever that is, and we support him. He's welcome on here anytime. He knows that. So,
hey, but even what's his name was off of television for a really long time, and then he comes back and wins the Cruiserweight belt. Man of the hour.
Oh yeah, Leo Rush. Yeah. There are redemption stories.
I mean, he had issues.
Oh, he had some serious issues,
and he had backstage issues.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's like,
and that's the thing. From what
after some time dies down,
who knows? AEW announced they've announced that Dynamite on January 15th will take place in Miami, and it will kick off Bash at the Beach. Yes, they have acquired the rights to that title,
no
the
surprise.
former WCW pay-per-view, and it's going. So they're going to have AEW Dynamite in Miami, and then they will continue it on Chris Jericho's
Wrestle Cruise.
Wrestle Cruise basically, which will include an episode of Dynamite taped on the cruise ship. So
crazy.
I really hope they try to extend that to the 29th, since I'll be in Miami for the Super Bowl. So, hey, Tony Khan, it'd be great if you could do something during Super Bowl week. They've also filed trademark for AEW Blood and Guts, Bunkhouse Stampede, and the Match Beyond. And we heard Cody reference the Match Beyond during that promo he did prior to Full Gear. Two matches that his father created, concepts, and he's gotten the copyrights to that. So we assume we will see a War Games type match, and to go back in history. So War Games was the part of the match where each team would send a member. Then once everybody got into the cage, that's when the Match Beyond started. So back in the day when it was first started, it was called War Games, the Match Beyond. So the Match Beyond was the part of the match where everybody was in the cage, boom. And it was, nuts, going into the cage and you had the roof. I wonder if he'll put a roof on the cage, because NXT doesn't put the roof on.
I'm assuming he has to. They're going to have the money.
Well, I've heard pros and cons on it.
On what, having the roof?
On having a roof, because that roof, the ones, the back of the old Jim Crockett Promotions roofs, it wasn't that high.
Yeah.
So it limited you on some on moves. You couldn't do a lot of top rope stuff because your head's you go on top rope, your head is up against the mesh. So,
yeah, which I'm fine with, though, because it's it forces you to really battle it out because you have no choice but to slug it out with that low clearance center. Yeah. And does every match have to have high spots in it? Especially when it's supposed to be like a...
but if this is AEW, it will.
Yeah.
So the Bunkhouse Stampede will be fun. That was a match that his father mastered.
Yeah.
And basically, come as you are, brawl.
Oh, you mean no holds bar?
Well, yeah, it was. And Dusty would come with the cowbell and the boots and the belt with the 40-pound buckle that looks like he won it at a rodeo. So anyway, lot of fun stuff happening in wrestling right now.
Was I the only one as a kid who always thought it was weird that anytime it was a street fight or something like that, they would come out in jeans and a regular shirt, but yet they wrestled in basically underwear?
I guess you're right. It is kind of funny how they did that.
I mean it makes sense to give you a scenic change,
right?
To signify that it's a different style
just
event. But it's like these are two grown men that already fight. I mean, most of the time it's two grown men, right? That already fight in just
basically trunks, yeah. And now you're gonna have you decide to have them in jeans and boots.
Now it's a no holds bar fight, so
jeans, boots, because you pull the boot off and hit. Terry Gordy always.
That's the other thing I never understood from old wrestling. Is wow, somebody's shoe can cause that much damage, but yet you take a drop kick with the butt of the same shoe and you're fine.
Well, cowboy boots. Remember,
it's
cowboy
the same shoe.
The sole is much harder.
I know, but then there's people that wear cowboy boots and drop the drop kick anyways. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They take it off and they square it right into the head. I'm just like, but you take a chair shot.
It was all about presentation.
I know, but it works. It was presented correctly.
It worked beautiful. Yes, of course.
But I'm just saying that
I cussed Terry Gordy out every time he beat somebody with his boot.
Or when the manager would hand their shoe
to
somebody else. It's just like
Oh, absolutely. When we come back from this timeout, we'll let you know what's happening in independent wrestling around the area. You're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
This is Juice Robinson, and you're listening to Sports Guys Talking Wrestling.
Sports Guys Talking Wrestling on the Horn. Stu Myrick, Justin the Smash Simmons. Juice Robinson and David Finlay are having some success at New Japan in the World Tag League. I think they are tied for the lead
I'm wondering how New Japan is going to divide its rosters when they decide to come to the United States. Is it going to just feature more North American heavy talent?
I think that's exactly what it is.
Like somebody like Juice Robinson.
I think they're going to feature more of the wrestlers that are in the dojo.
Maybe, but
like Barrett Brown. In fact, we're going to try to have Barrett Brown in a couple weeks.
But let's admit that would be the wrong tactic to take, because if you are a New Japan fan in the United States, the reason you watch it is because of guys like Okada, Tanahashi, the Japanese wrestlers.
Well, and they said that they're going to try to mix in the, for lack of a better term, main roster, I guess is the best way to put it.
Right, that's what essentially
the main
it
roster,
is.
Stars,
like the headliners,
when they can.
Yeah.
But they don't want to take away from the shows in Japan as well.
I completely understand that, but
it'll be an interesting way. We'll have to see how they balance that out. And you're right.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting
as
to see
opposed
how
to
they
WWE,
do.
where it's like self-imposed brand split. This is
Right.
like geographical brand split.
Yes, this is So we're going to try to have Barrett Brown on because he's going to be part of their event. I think it's somewhere in Southern California.
Can we still call him the last
December.
NWA light heavyweight champion? Because I haven't seen another one. Junior heavyweight champion, my bad.
He is the last junior heavyweight champion of the world. You're right. I still call him that.
Yeah, I haven't seen another one since.
Yeah. David Finlay and Juice Robinson, someone called him Fin Juice. They are tied for the lead in World Tag League right now. 6 points with Ishii and Yoshihashi and the tandem of Toru Yano and Colt Cabana.
Oh, that's a great tandem right there.
Hey, why not? Of course, the winner of the World Tag League, if it's not the Guerrillas of Destiny, they will get a shot at the Guerrillas of Destiny in the IWGP Heavyweight Tag titles at Wrestle Kingdom coming up in January. We've got shows coming up here in Texas and around the area we got to let you know about this weekend. And we are going to start with DFW All-Pro Wrestling and DFW All-Pro Women's Wrestling. They are presenting the Sadie Hawkins Tag Team Invitational Friday at American Legion Post 655 in Haltom City. Bell time 7:30 p.m. Killa Kate will be there. Erica Torres, Nick Collins, Lou Gotti, and more. That's DFW All-Pro Wrestling and DFW All-Pro Women's Wrestling Friday night in Haltom City. Heavy Metal Wrestling presents Hey Brother, I Heard You're Running in November. Long title. Friday night at the 502 Bar in San Antonio. Bell time 9 p.m. Kurt Stallion will be there. Thomas Shire, Terrell Tempo, Roxy, and more. Heavy Metal Wrestling. I think this may be one of their last Friday night shows coming up this Friday in San Antonio. Renegade Wrestling Revolution presents Running with the Renegades. Saturday at Elks Lodge 151 in Stafford. Bell time 7 p.m. Steve DeMarco, Unholy Isaiah James, Jordan Lennox, Rachel Rose, among others. That's Renegade Wrestling Revolution Saturday night in Stafford. And then right here in Austin at the Mohawk, Anarchy Championship Wrestling presents the 14th annual Lone Star Classic this Sunday at the Mohawk on Red River. Bell time 6 p.m. Unholy Isaiah James will defend the ACW Heavyweight Championship against Dmitry Alexandrov. Plus, there will be a 12-person tournament. The winner will get a title shot anytime they want. The competitors include Jeff Gant, Phoebe, Zach Taylor, Alex Garcia, Sue Young, Rob the Builder, Christy Janes, the current ACW Hardcore Champion, Jacobs Pliskin, Rodney Mack, Joey Ryan, Joe DeMauro, and a mystery entrant. That's Anarchy Championship Wrestling this Sunday right here in the ATX. And that's a look at independent wrestling around the area. Make sure you go check it out. Support independent wrestling wherever you may be.
Yeah, see, they know their audience. They know that not everybody's going to want to watch Survivor Series that Sunday.
That's true.
Especially the ACW crowd.
Yeah, I hope the weather works out for them. I think there's supposed to be a front coming through this weekend.
Yeah, it's supposed to not be the best weather on Sunday.
Because if you've been to the Mohawk
it's open.
It's there is no cover over the ring, so should be interesting. So you called Westlake and who was it? Cibolo Steel, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Chaparrals advancing.
Oh man, that was a tough game to watch.
Yeah.
But Westlake did their thing to a certain extent.
They're a tough team. You would not surprise me to see them in Arlington. So, what do you got going this weekend?
First round. It's the second round of the NCAA Men's Division II soccer tournament The Rattlers needed somebody out at St. Mary's because they have the number 11 team in the nation, and they made the NCAA tournament. So I'm going to be calling the other Saints team, which is weird for me.
Okay.
So I have to go to San Antonio to call an NCAA playoff match, essentially, which is not bad, but it's just like it's weird to call it for a team I've called the rival for so long.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I get you. This weekend on the Horn, we'll start Friday night. Lake Travis defeated Smithson Valley 21-3. By the way, did you see the video? Bucky Godbolt realized a minor dream. He got to lead the Cavalier marching band in a number during the third quarter.
Oh yeah, what song was it?
I don't know what song it is. I could
Did
play
he get
it.
to pick the song?
I think it was a simple song, but he got to lead the band. He had a blast. So hats off to Bucky. Anyway, this Friday, Lake Travis meets San Antonio Madison in the area round of the 6A Division I UIL State High School Football Playoffs. That game will be at Rattler Stadium in San Marcos at San Marcos High School. You can hear it on 104.9. Pregame 7:15, kickoff 7:30. Mark Honig, Bucky Godbolt in the booth. I'll be on the sidelines for the call of that game. Saturday, the Texas Longhorns, who got had the walk-off field goal against them this time instead of for them, coming off that loss at Iowa State. Now they got to go up I-35 to Baylor. That's going to be a tough one. Kickoffs at 2:30 p.m., which means pregame starts at 10:30 a.m. Across the Austin Radio Network, and you can join them at Pluckers, the South Lamar location. Chad Hastings and Bucky Godbolt will be holding down the fort there. I think Kevin Dunn will be there as well for the watch party. And again, you can hear that all across the Austin Radio Network. And then Sunday, the Dallas Cowboys getting the win. This past Sunday, they will meet New England, the Patriots. They got to go up to the Northeast. Cowboys at New England, kickoff 3:25 p.m., and you can hear that one on the Horn. So a full weekend of football as we're getting down towards the end, especially in high school and college football. So NFL still got a ways to go, but it'll be fun.
At least they beat the Lions.
At least they beat the Lions. That's right.
It's not like the Lions are a bad team.
No.
They're like a decently bad team. But they're not like a horrible bad team, which we also lost to this year. So I mean, we lost to the Jets.
That's true. The stinking Jets. That'll do it for this week's Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. You can follow Justin the Smash Simmons on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at The Smash Simmons. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Stu Myrick. That's STEW. MYRICK. You can follow the show on Twitter at SGTWATX. You could find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sports Guys Talking Wrestling. We are proud to be the official broadcast partner of the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, and we're proud to be part of the great lineup you hear every day on the flagship station for the Texas Longhorns and your radio home in Austin for the Dallas Cowboys. We are the Horn. Catch us Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. Central, or you catch us anytime on demand by going to hornfm.com, click on the on-air tab, or by subscribing to us on your favorite podcast platform. Our thanks to Impact Wrestling's Eddie Edwards for joining us, and our thanks to you for giving us a little bit of your time tonight. For Justin, I'm Stu. We will see you at the matches.
Goodbye and good night. Bang!